Hello and Happy New Year, and welcome to the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. We are two sisters and a niece who come together to share our love for knitting, the things that we create, and the love we have for the knitting community. I said love twice there. What was up with that? All right. And we do it all with the twist of both the frivolous and the frugal. So again, Happy New Year. I am Frivolous Dawn, and in our family's birth order, I am the fourth of 8 children.
I am Fearless Miss Brianna, and I am the daughter of number 7 in their family's birth order.
And hello, I'm Frugal Miss Penny, and I am number 1 in the birth order, and we just could not be more tickled to know that you're joining us again for episode 92. We just have a shout of excitement for those who are returning. We always enjoy your comments below, and we also enjoy hearing about your knitting adventures. So keep those comments coming. And for those of you who have come to us for the first time, maybe by perhaps by referral or by suggested videos, we're glad you're joining us. I think you will find our community to be one of the most gracious and encouraging communities in the fiber world that we know. So please stick around, and we hope you learn a bit from our adventures. So without further ado, please grab your knitting, your favorite note-taking device, and a sense of humor for episode 92 of the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. Take it away, Dawn.
Well, let's go around the room. Say what we are wearing. So I can start if you want. What is around my neck anyway right now is Moonwake. And this is a pattern by Andrea Mowry that I did several years ago with my friend Kathy. I knit the pattern as written. And the yarn I used was a yarn by Julie Asselin. And it is in her Melange. I don't know if it's Melange, if it's how you pronounce it, number 1. Base, and there were 4 colors. The actual colors you could find on my Ravelry page. A little bit about this as far as the frugalometer goes. I knit it on a US size 7 too. And if I remember right, that yarn you get to buy in like 50 gram skeins. So that was nice to be able to do that. I gave it $4 signs as far as the cost of the pattern. And I also gave it $4 signs for the cost of the yarn. Now, the reason I wore this today, good example of beautiful pattern, not the most flattering colors on me as far as the bases, or not the bases, but I tend not to wear like these yellows very much. Yellows, oranges, greens, and you'll see a lot of those today. I did this kind of as a kickoff as the Brioche Cowl knit along starts, and this was a color work that I did. Now this is not a woolly wool by any stretch. This is a lovely soft yarn, but it was nice for me to learn color work in some fairly simple designs to get a little bit better at using the two-handed technique. It is knit in the round, and then you do a Kitchener together. If you go to my Ravelry page, I believe I even linked the videos that I used on how to do Kitchener in the round when the cowl was completed. I'm pretty sure it was a Michelle Hunter video, but yeah, this works really great on a day where you just want a little bit of warmth around your neck, and then you can put your coat over it, and it doesn't take up a lot of space, but it is nice for that. So again, it is Moonwake by Andrea Mowry.
I'm wearing, it's called Beginner Brioche Scarf, and I changed the pattern quite a bit, but I was working on this at the mini meetup. Bought the yarn at the mini meetup, and so red and black.
I like it.
I use Simpli Natural, which is a merino wool silk alpaca blend on size 10 needles, and it was my first try with brioche, and I've really liked it. So there's that.
There's a heart. How do you do that?
Oh, there you go.
Great on you.
Thumbs up.
Does. You are so fearless. You just jump into brioche. You don't do like a little short 6-inch scarf. You make a whole shawl. So very
well. I had to motivate myself with pretty yarn. I keep trying.
Now that could be a therapy session. What do you need to motivate you? Pretty yarn.
I like the way you think. And you know what? You brioched in the middle of a knitting event in
Yeah.
a room full of people. So there is, I know we call you fearless for lots of reasons, but when you get a little older, such as anti-ages, I find it harder to concentrate on a new pattern amidst people when I'm trying to talk and carry on conversation. So enjoy that while your brain still does that. So.
Well, though, in all honesty, those of you who know us know that Dawn and I are chatters. Miss Brianna is a listener. There's a big difference there, right, Miss Brianna? You can sit back and take it in and listen and concentrate where we can't hush up. So that's probably why you're so successful. I am wearing my neck down cardigan by Knit Pure and Simple. Diane Soucy is the designer. I knit this in Plymouth Encore back in the early 2000s. I wear it all the time. It's my favorite cardigan. And it was knit on sizes 6 and 9. And on the Frugalometer, I gave it a $1 sign for both the yarn as well as the pattern. Now, oh, Dawn, I didn't ask you about this ahead of time, so I'm going to ask for forgiveness first. One of our viewers asked on YouTube if we would mention the price of our patterns because we assign it a dollar sign on the Frugalometer. So let me just tell you this. For me, I am giving you the current price of the pattern. I don't have any idea what I paid for it when I bought it because I bought it in a brick and mortar knit store back in the early 2000s. So what I'm going to do right now is tell you what this pattern sells for on Ravelry. And it is $7 right now. And on my Frugalometer, I give that a $2 sign because my dollar signs represent not only money, but value. So there you have it. And can I quickly just say this Ivy over the wall so I can go to the next row on my knitting?
Yes.
I mean, it's all about efficiency. So while I'm thinking about the pattern, this is Ivy Over the Wall by Helen Stewart. Dawn and I knit that as one of our early long wraps. I happen to knit this in Cascade Heritage silk. No, Cascade Heritage. Yeah, it was silk.
Wow.
I'm going to adjust the dollar signs. And this was on a US size 6. I actually, oh no, I've adjusted it. It gets a $3 sign for fiber and for pattern a $2 sign. And right now that's on sale for £6, or if you convert it to US dollars, $7.57 approximate.
Yeah, I did not do pricing, current prices, so I'll start that next episode.
Well, don't worry about it because I told our viewer that I would talk to you about it and I forgot. We were talking about other things. So oops, but so sorry.
And you know, I don't think there's a way in Ravelry to determine what you originally paid, is there?
I don't know. I don't think so. It just uploads into your library. Now, I don't know if there's a feature that says you have spent this much. I don't know.
Yeah, little hands start clapping. You know, so I think I just thought of this too, kind of talking about it on a whim. Maybe if I buy patterns this year, I'm going to put it in the notes when I purchase the pattern, what I paid for it.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's January 2nd. Maybe if it makes it to January 3rd, we can call it a successful goal.
Okay. Oh, are you going to put it on your goals too?
I probably will. What the heck? Okay.
Yeah, I would like to, Dawn, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure I'll remember to do that.
I better write this down.
Okay.
Let's move on to what's on your needles. And so since I'm going to write, Brianna, can we turf to you for what's on your needles?
Yes. So I have
Do
the
you miss all the chaos, Miss Brianna?
Yes.
And Spontaneity. Oh, good. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so I have the terrazzo slip over on my needles, and I'll show you. I jumped the gun and did the neck first, because I was impatient. And then I did this brown color. I'm knitting it in Noro, which is 100% wool. And then I've switched to this more fun color for the bottom half And you can see I started the split along the side, my ribbing.
Oh,
I just ripped this out up to the armpits the other day because I was knitting it and it was way too wide. So Aunt Dawn helped me figure out how many stitches to take out from under that underarm. And then I really like the width now. So I think it'll fit me better. I'm still going to wait to do the ribbing around the arms just in case I change my mind, because I made that mistake last time and had to rip it out once already. But very happy with it. I like knitting with Noro. It's kind of different because the yarn's not very consistent in width. I like that, but I think that could drive some people crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was looking for a good example of that, but I can't find one.
Oh, that's right. If you find it, let us know.
And that's on size 10 needles.
Okay. Very cool. Oh, look at you. You are fearless. You just frog it and re-knit it, don't you?
Yep, at family Christmas.
A room full of people, and she's just trying to explain to everybody the difference between tinking and frogging. And
yeah, it was fun. We had some really new knitters at our family Christmas visiting, and you're so interested in the process. Like, well, let me show you. I'm so familiar with this part of the process.
You remember our viewer Kitty Wow Wow gave us the names Princess Frogs a lot and Princess Tinks a lot. So you now bear the same honorary name, Miss Brianna.
Very good. Do you want to go next, Penny?
Yes. I am starting. No, I'm finishing my last Christmas gift for no, it's not the last. I still have 2 more to go. Anyway, I'm finishing 2022 Christmas gifts, and I am knitting the Lamberhurst scarf, and it is a pattern by Windle Straw Designs. It's a texture pattern back and forth. I'm knitting it in Valley Yarns Deerfield in the Frost Gray colorway on US size 6s. And on the Frugalometer, it gets $4 signs for fiber and $2 signs for the pattern. The pattern is $6.
And how long do you anticipate the length of that scarf?
Well, I am knitting the shorter version, and I want to say it'll wrap around the neck and hit maybe at the hips or just above it. The son whom I'm knitting this for is tall. I think he's what, 6'2", maybe 6'1", 6'2", somewhere around in there. And so I want it long enough that it'll stay underneath the jacket. I don't think he'll wrap it around his neck, but I'll ask him when I get closer. But I think I have like 4 more skeins of yarn that I have to knit until I even get to that point. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Could you keep talking till I finish this row?
Well, I certainly can. Are you done with the row yet? How much longer do you have? Okay. What's that?
I only have about 10 more stitches, so.
Okay. I'll just quickly say, I'm not going to show it. I finished the Mario blanket, gave it to my grandson. In another episode, we'll talk about the crash and burn that happened at the end. But I want to thank our dear friend, and she knows who she is, for telling me I just need to move on, because with the crash and burn, I kind of went to the edge, and Dawn had to call and talk me off the ledge. So thank you, our dear friend. You know who you are, for reminding me it's time to move on. And so I've moved on. Are you still knitting?
Well, I'm fighting with not fighting. The mohair is winning.
Okay.
Let me see. I should probably spotlight since we figured out how to do this, huh? All right,
Well,
so
yes.
I'm working on the pattern by Lisa Hans called Autumn Comes. I saw the gals on the podcast Forest City Knit Girls do this, and one of them tested it. So let me show you. It is a long scarf that came out after the Sophie scarf did, but along the same theory. So it's going to be a long scarf. You'll see where it starts with the taper.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get to a certain point, and it says if you want it wider, just to repeat a few rows. So I did 1 increased to go wider. So this is a little bit wider than the original. Now you just knit as long as you want it. And you know me, 100 inches is what I like. I really am going to knit till the end of the skein of yarn. So let me tell you about the yarns. I am using stash yarn for the base. Okay, did you hear that? Stash yarn. Okay. You'll, you'll hear that a lot this year, I hope. This is Leading Men Fiber Arts in the Showstopper base, and it is called Tiny Dancer. And then a friend gifted me the skein of mohair. Oh, look at that.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it is as beautiful and fluffy as it looks. Now, this was a new to me dyer. It's called Chaotic Fibers. I went online to look at them. They are an online store based out of, I think, British Columbia, if I'm correct. We'll put the link. So this is their silk mohair base, and the colorway is called Tulip Fiesta. So I'm holding a strand of each. Now, the other thing I have to tell you about, and I don't know if this is frugal, if it's just smart, not sure what it is. Again, I saw this on the Forest City Knit Girls. I am running a strand of each of these yarns through just a simple button. And it is keeping my yarn separated so that I don't have any twisting. It is the craziest simple thing I've ever seen. Now, if you watch their episodes, they give you a link to a different podcast that explains this in more detail. I didn't watch the other one because I thought they did a nice job. If you do this with the button, just make sure the hole in the button is larger than the diameter of the yarn so that you're not fighting with the yarn as you pull it through. But I'm going to knit till I'm either getting close to being out of the mohair or out of the base yarn, and then it ends with the taper at the end. So looking at these two together, it is definitely the mohair that's doing the color changes on here. So
very pretty.
Why do I like this pattern? Ugh.
Do you think, how does it work with your brain? Is it very soothing with your brain?
It is. This is, I think they call it a broken rib pattern. And so it's just a 2-row repeat. So, or is it 4-row repeat probably? No, I might take that back. It is a 2-row repeat. So I found it like I could do this at our family Christmas. As opposed to ripping out and, redesigning sweaters. I'm hoping to get this done maybe by the next podcast. So I did start it just a couple of days before the start of the new year. So that's going to be so nice on your neck. So Chaotic Fibers, nice yarn. All right. Are we going to move to what's off our needles next?
Oh, I think so.
All right. I'm going to highlight you again, Miss Brianna, if you want to go. See if I can.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So I finally finished my first raglan sweater. I really like it. Okay, let's see if I can show. I decided to do the wide sleeves.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, I still have my my decreased things in there. I haven't blocked it yet. And then I did long skinny cuffs, which when I wear it, I'm really happy with. And then at the bottom, I let it be long with some wide ribbing, but I also put a split in it.
Oh.
So super cozy. I'm excited to block it. It still feels a little woolly right now, a little rough. And so I'm excited to block it to see if it relaxes a little bit. It's a piece. I knit it with Peace Fleece, and I have the ball band here. It says it's 75% domestic fine wool and 25% mohair.
Oh.
And I knit that on a US 9.
Miss Brianna, that's a pretty color for you too.
Thank you.
Okay, before you put it away, you did some amazing modifications. Can you show your split for the bottom? Because that was not part of that pattern, was it?
No. Okay. So here's on the side. I did it the same on each side. I started up, I don't know how many rows I did it, just till I thought it looked nice. And then brought it down. You know, I wish, now that I'm doing this terrazzo slip over, I wish I would have done this a little bit different. Because if you see, this line isn't very neat. I feel like it looks stretched out a little bit. It doesn't pull in nice and tight. And I'm sure after I block it, that will look different. But I'll show you how they did it on the terrazzo slip over, and it looks so nice and neat.
Oh yeah.
And because they use slips, like a slip stitch.
They slip the first stitch.
They do. And it just pulls together, pulls that so straight and so nice. And it even works good with that twisted rib. And so that was a learning point for me. But I'm sure, I mean, you always talk about blocking covers a multitude of sins. So I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah.
Very nice.
So you're the first person I've seen do that ribbing around the split, which I think is brilliant. So if it's been in patterns, I haven't recognized it. So that is, you're a genius, may we say. Now we're a little biased, of course, but
A little bit. Now,
yes, you are genius.
I'm still learning how to knit the size that I want it to be. I don't know why, but my projects always end up a little bit bigger. I think maybe because I use bulky yarn and bulky needles. So I love it. It's just a little roomy, so it'll be comfy. So that's one reason I wanted to rip out my terrazzo sweater vest, is because I was like, I'm gonna learn from my mistakes and knit something that I'll wear every day instead of just for cozy.
why is that not a lesson we've learned? If you don't like it now, you're not going to like it at the end of the garment either. Very good. And if you had to put it on the frugalometer, have you thought about that?
Well, the yarn was a birthday gift last year, so no cost to me. And then, you know, I think it was, this was a knit along last year. And so I would say it was a 2. The pattern was a 2 on a frugalometer, and the yarn would be a 1. I know it's expensive yarn, but I didn't buy it. So, so a 1 for me.
Oh, so let's just say, Aunt Dawn, what would you give the yarn on the frugalometer?
I'd probably give it a 3.
3.
Sometime if we ever need some extra time to chat on the podcast, the story behind Peace Fleece yarn is impressive. And I don't know it enough to just wing it, but it is a company that has got a mission. Is it on there, Brianna?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
I'll do
yeah.
some research, but the word peace in there is they're working toward their little tidbit that they can help toward worldwide peace. So it was a very motivational and inspirational story behind that yarn. How about you, Penny? Do you want to go next?
I only have one item off the needles, and they look like stovepipe covers. It's like I could put these on the trunk of a tree. These are arm warmers for our son. Now, a little background is we have 2 sons who are competitive arm wrestlers. And so in between their matches, they want to keep their arms and their what do you call this muscle here? Forearm. Thank you. They want to keep their forearms and their biceps and their triceps warm. So this son is quite tall. And so I just used out of my stash Plymouth Colorspun Encore in the blues colorway. I think it's number 8002. I made the pattern up myself. It has ribbing on both ends. And on the frugalometer, $$ for both.
Very good. All right.
Oh, US size 9s.
Oh, so that had to work up pretty fast.
Well, size 8. Yeah, they did. They did. So he'll try them on when I give them to him next week, and we'll see how well they fit.
Be sure to take a picture and put it in your Ravelry page.
Oh, I'm sure he'll have no problem posing.
Yeah, he will. I'm amazed just how those muscles get so big
Because
and
they're huge. It's
are.
anyway, whatever.
All right.
What about you? What's off your needles?
I have a couple of things off my needles. And then I continue to work on the Schnee. Was that somebody told us the correct way to pronounce that pattern by Melanie Berg? Schnee.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying Schnee, but it's Schnee. So not much progress since the last time. So I will show that again in future episodes. I did finish my Advent socks.
Ooh, pretty, pretty.
Aren't those
Like
pretty?
sherbet.
So the pattern I followed was a hodgepodge. So the pattern that you see across the top of the foot is the pattern that's on the Hermione's everyday sock pattern. The heel is a fish lips kiss heel, and I just wing the toe and the cuff. So the pattern itself is this beautiful self-striping Advent kit. It was named Tea with the Bridgertons, and it was by Area 51 Fibers. Bella is the dyer there. She has been delightful to work with. If I can find the picture, I'll try to insert it. 4 of us use the exact same yarn, but each knit our socks our way. So to think that this pattern was the same, everybody picked different heels, toes, and cuffs, not only in color, but in pattern. So it was fun. I sent that picture to the dyer as well. So I do 64 stitches on a US size 1. These were 50-gram skeins with the self-striping yarn. I had about 12 grams left. It was 24 stripes. So mine started with this mint green down here, and you'll see that it didn't repeat again until here. So those were the 24 stripes. And so I did toe up. Years ago, I took a craftsy class with Susan B. Anderson that was called My First Toe Up Sock. So since then, I just knit toe up. And as you know, I rarely do hand knit socks anymore since I have the sock machine. But these were a lady's size 10. I used about 20 grams of a mini, and I had no idea what this mini was. It was just in my stash. So Frugalometer, the Fish Lips Kiss heel is a $1 pattern. Hermione is free, so I'll give that a $1 sign. And the yarn, I would probably give probably a $4 sign on the Frugalometer. Yeah, it's the first time I've done an Advent sock as far as bought the Advent. Now I had to go back and watch Bridgerton on Netflix to know that these colors come from the beautiful dresses that the ladies wear in that series. So yeah, so those are my socks. And then the last thing that is off my needles is the Gresham wrap. I've been working on that for a little bit. Let me get you the details on that. The Gresham wrap was a kit I bought, or that was gifted to me, and it was by Blue Sky Fibers. And the pattern is written by Michael Vlodman. And it is finished and blocked. So I'll start at 1. I measured it this morning, 101 inches long, 104 inches long and 16 and a half inches wide. This was a half linen stitch, which was new to me. There it is. Each of those colors are a different texture. It came with little 50-gram skeins of all of these colors. I knit this with a group of ladies from the Appleton area. So Kathy, Sandy, Jeannie, Mary Kay, and Judy, and we're all finished. And our goal was by the first day of spring. So we all made that. So we started on the first day of fall, I believe. Yeah, no, I did a steam block. Kathy did a wet block. She had no trouble with colors running. So I may do a wet block now that I know that it's safe to do that. So
oh, that's beautiful.
Blue Sky Fibers wool stock, worsted. It was all knit on a US size 8. I knit it to pattern. Now the frugal part of this, Penny, the ladies are all giving you the leftover scrap so that you So when I see you next week, I will bring you those.
Oh, ladies, thank you.
Fun.
That's very kind of you. Very gracious.
They graciously offered to buy you the whole kit, and I said that you would have a stroke, and I didn't want to visit you in the stroke center. So, yeah. No,
Oh, that's true. I would not want a kit. I prefer the leftovers.
this is worsted, so the gals who are finished say that it grows a little bit in length when you wear it as it pulls down, and I
Ah.
believe that to be true. So now this would have been nice last week when it was, frigid here.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely.
Oh, how pretty.
I love the knit, but I love the knitting community. With 6 of us doing it together, we Zoomed once a month because we're from around the state. And I don't know, there's that camaraderie, the accountability. I would knit anything in that respect if you get to be part of a group for that. So I loved every minute of that. And thank you, ladies. I look forward. I'm hoping that we pick another project to do again soon. So that is what is off my needle. So I did not make my goal to have everything off my needles by the end of the year. So the Melanie Berg shawl continues. And otherwise, that was the one thing that will come across for the new year for me.
Wonderful.
All right. Should we talk about what you're learning?
Oh, well, Miss Brianna, do you want to start? Do you have anything off the top of your head that you want to share?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is with this slipover project is if you don't like it, stop. Because I just kept knitting and knitting and knitting under the arms longer and longer. Switched to my second color, was knitting. Started to run out of my second color, and I'm like, it's too wide and I don't like the length. And so that's when I ripped it out, and we've created a game plan for trying again. And I think I didn't like it right as soon as I got under the arms. I was like, maybe I'll like it in a few rows, So I guess the lesson for me is if you don't like it, stop, and then see how you can make it different, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you going to keep track of the changes you made, or do you think it's an item you would not knit again?
I don't know. I really like the turtleneck, and I really like that it doesn't have sleeves on it. I could see it like in the winter, like under a coat. It'd be really cozy and warm. I remember how many stitches I left off the end. So I think I should probably write that down.
Well, even just for your own use, so that let's say now you'd like it in a different color or a different type of, and those long vests with the cowl neck are so on trend right now. So I can't believe it's going to go away soon.
Yeah. I did absolutely nothing right with this pattern, so I'm not sure I could recreate it. I didn't use the right yarn, and I'm not using the right needle size. My gauge isn't anywhere close. I was just kind of aiming for the smallest size because everything's bigger. So I just aimed for the smallest size and hope for the best.
See, that's where you're fearless, and I admire that, Miss Brianna, because I'm not so sure that knitting is about doing the right thing, right? You made it your garment, darling. You took it and made it your own. So that's right for you. So I don't know about you, but I don't know what Aunt Dawn would say, but I'm thinking you are doing it the right way. Making it your own.
We talk often about the knitting trifecta, and that is, right yarn, right pattern, right color, and you made the pattern right for you. And that's something that I did not have the confidence for in the beginning. Not even sure I have as much confidence right now to do what you've done. But if you're right, why do we have to keep relearning the same story? If you don't like it now, you're not going to like it 20 rows from now. And I play those same games in my head. Well, I'm going to knit a little bit further and maybe I will like it. And the next thing you know, you're halfway through your vest and you still don't like it. So you were smart to pull it back and brave to do it in public. But yeah, I think that's a great lesson to learn. And we need to all keep learning that and reminding each other. And Penny, you had said, was it Sally Melville or?
I can't remember if it was when I went to Sally Melville or when I was at Meg Swanson's knit camp somewhere. I heard years ago that the most important part or maybe it was in one of Elizabeth Zimmerman's books. I can't remember, but the most important feature of knitting to that particular designer was that you like the fabric. So let's say you followed the pattern. If the fabric isn't something that you liked, then stop, look at it, think your way through and make those adjustments, because you're going to wear what you like. And I have tried to do that because I typically never make gauge. I just don't. I tend not to for a variety of reasons, but I'm okay with it because I like the fabric. I just keep messing with it until I get the fabric I like. So that's not mine. I did not come up with that saying. I've, kept it from someone else, but it's worked well for me. And I think it serves us well to give ourselves creative liberty or creative license.
Yeah. I agree.
Mhm.
So what are you learning, Miss Penny?
Oh, it's just short and sweet. And it comes from 2 viewers who spoke words of wisdom to me regarding my Intarsia adventure in the Mario blanket. And that is this: I need to remember to always, for me, for Penny, I'm not saying this for everyone else, but for Penny, I always want my purpose to trump perfection. And I need to be okay with imperfection. If the purpose is to bless someone and to give it as a gift, I need to remember that that was my purpose for knitting, because I like to do knitting as gifts. And I am learning how to move past that need to be perfect and move into contentment. So like the Mario blanket, it was a crash and burn, but my grandson loved it. There you go. There you go. My purpose was to give him something he enjoyed, and hope he can enjoy it past the next washing. What about you? What are you learning?
I tend to be, at least in my knitting life, pretty goal oriented. And so as I look back at the goals I set a year ago for 2022, I didn't meet them all. But I don't sit there and say, oh, that I'm not going to knit anymore. But it's interesting to set a goal and to see 52 weeks later how well you did. So the one goal I did not meet was I did not crank 25 pairs of socks. Otherwise, I was able to meet those. So then, of course, you have to, well, you don't have to. I had to set goals for 2023, put them in my planner. And so I have put them on my Ravelry profile for the year, but the goals are set for the year. But, the biggest one I will share, because I'm going to need accountability, I am going to knit from stash.
Oh, stop the madness.
Yeah.
Look at you.
And I just want you to know, January 1st went by just fine. I have bought nothing on January 1st and have no plans for January 2nd.
Look at you.
I think it was James from Dude Knits. We were having coffee one day and he said, he wanted to fall in love with his stash again. And isn't that the truth? When I go looking for yarn, I tend to look on the internet as opposed to look in my stash. There are beautiful yarns that I've curated over the years. I don't have like precious yarns where I'm thinking I need the perfect project for this one skein. I just have lots of yarn that I enjoy and like. So I really think that I could go a year knitting from stash. Now, of course, I had to put a few little
Caveats in there.
I want to make sure that was the right word. If somebody asks me to teach a class for a yarn shop or whatever, and they want me to use a specific yarn and I don't have that yarn in my stash, I would need to buy the yarn for that class. And then I always have to put in reserve the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. I was able to knit most of that from stash this year. I'm going to try next year, but if I need to buy a skein, and I'm not talking buying an entire kit, but if I need to buy a skein, based on what the requirements are for that knit along, I would do that as well. So I'm going to keep track on a little Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, how much yarn comes out of my stash, and will I notice a difference in a year? Because that's even a scarier thought, is if I can knit a year and you can't see a difference, I may have a problem.
For the record, I'm in year 2. Will this be year 3? No, this will be year 2 for me in my stash. I wish I could tell you I could see a difference, Dawn, but I've had to buy to complete things. Do you know what I'm saying? I hope you do better than I did. I hope you can see that progress.
Well, and I think I don't want to get too philosophical, but we have chosen a craft that relies on extra money in a budget in order to do the craft. So discretionary spending, right? And so I don't know what the future holds with, the economy or personal budgets. But when I first started knitting, somebody wisely told me to knit with the yarn you can afford, the best yarn that you can afford. And I look back since I've started knitting, that has been a moving target. There are years where you could maybe spend a little bit more, and there were years where we had to make more budget-friendly decisions. And so, I'm just going to see. And I'm hoping maybe to spend less and maybe even save a little bit. How's that? That'd be a novel thought for me. I've never done that before.
Well, there you go.
And the last thing, kind of, when I think about what I've been learning is, again, end of year, I look back. I had the amazing opportunity this year to meet some of our viewers. So I think about the viewers that we meet at the mini meetup that we've seen maybe on Zooms, that we actually got to see face to face and hug them. And, some of them we even cried with, we laughed with. That was amazing. And our family vacation this year, we had the opportunity to go to Canada, where I got to knit with Bonnie and Eva, and then I got to knit with Norma. So I look back and think, wow. And we're going to have the opportunity in the near future to knit with other friends. So I hope that 2023 finds our knitting community able to try to orchestrate those little meetings where we're not talking about fancy retreats. We're talking about getting together somewhere and sitting down and just knitting and laughing and sharing with others the love we have for our knitting community. So I'm very grateful for that as we look back at the year.
And to your point, Dawn, I hope that if our viewers take nothing away from our podcast but this, it is to do exactly what you said. Create your very own mini meetups. Create your very own knit together times. It doesn't need to be orchestrated by someone else. You can do it right in your own area. Or if you have people on Ravelry that you have friended in some way, if you're going to vacation in their area, send them a message and see if you can meet at a knit shop or a bookstore, whatever. Let's take it upon ourselves to create, knit together, a knitting community. Right? Absolutely.
I'm game every day of the year.
Why, yes, you are. And just so you know, could I just touch bases a little bit on what's happening here at Frivolous and Frugal? Please. We have kind of pared down a little bit based on the trends that we're seeing, the needs that we're seeing among our community. So right now, we only have one cowl in progress, and that is the Brioche Cowl. It's Brioche Cowl 2023. That's the hashtag, right, Dawn? So we would like you to definitely join us for that. It is a collaborative effort between several podcasters. I'm going to look at my notes so I don't accidentally miss anyone. Feel free to join them all. Each one has their own rules, so make sure you look at their rules. We have no rules, so we don't care if you join all of them and upload a picture in our thread as well. But let's just encourage you to not only visit these podcasts and view them, but to join in the cowl. We are doing this with the 3-Ply podcast, Knits and Pieces. Around the Table Yarns actually doesn't have a podcast, but Miss Kim hosts and moderates knit togethers and virtual knit togethers. Dude Knits, Got Whips, Magpie's Cottage, The Pandemic Knitter, and PJ Knits. We had a cast on date of January 1st. We're going to run it until Frivolous and Frugal are running it until December 31st. So we will have one thread in Ravelry. That's it. And we will choose winners from that thread at some, I don't know if interval's the right word, but we'll get you some gifts one way or the other. The ongoing cowl, finish, fix, flip, or frog it, again, is on Ravelry. That's a thread that we encourage you to participate in. In fact, we have a winner for that this week. And the winner is Miss Kara Parkman. She completed a shawl that she started in 2019 called My Sister Shawl from Cozy Up Knits. And darling, it was absolutely beautiful. So please, contact Dawn. You have won a pattern of your choice not to exceed $10. She will make sure she gets you that pattern. And just on the side note, Miss Kara, I don't know if you're interested, but in my next trip out to Spokane Valley, I'd love to meet you at a coffee shop and get some knitting done, or a nearby knit shop. And YouTube giveaway. Our next YouTube giveaway will be during episode 94, so stay tuned. We always post our question in episode 94 and pick a winner the next time. Did I overlook anything, Dawn, or misspeak when I said our only current cowl was really the Burra cowl?
Yeah, I think that is the only current one. And I would show you mine, but I knit 3 rows last night, so there's not much.
Well, of course you did. You followed the rules and cast it on. My kit is sitting on the other side of the room. Let me just also mention this. Please stay tuned because we will be having another virtual knit together sometime in late January or in February. So we'll try to post maybe a little reminder in Ravelry, or if we don't get it until our next episode, we'll definitely fill you in there. And it will be a daytime virtual knit together. We're going to try to see which serves the community best, an evening or a daytime. And then finally, did you have any honorable mentions, Dawn?
I didn't have any today.
I didn't either. Miss Brianna, do you have any honorable mentions? Okay. Just want to make sure. Well, I know you what you're all waiting for. You fast forward to the end of this podcast just to hear what Nikki would say. So I don't want to disappoint you. Nikki's words of wisdom to us for this year. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to tell you that Faithful Nikki is another part of our podcast. She is number 3 in the birth order. She does not knit, but she golfs. And she is our cheerleader, statistician. She is all things detail to us, and we just couldn't do the podcast without her. So every episode, she gives us some words of wisdom, and she tries to intermingle golf and knitting, which has been kind of cool. So you first-time viewers, at the end of every episode, we say, and what would Nikki say? This is her message for us this week. When the need arises, take a step back and spend time looking at the clouds and the sky. It's amazing how comforting it can be and how it clears your mind. Yeah. Isn't that so true? Stepping back and just looking. So sis, thank you for those words of encouragement and wisdom. And thank you, our viewers. We're hoping that your week is a sweet twist of the frivolous and frugal, and we look forward to seeing you in episode 93. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.